Hello, my name's Ian Duckmanton. I work for Volunteering Matters as a delivery leader. And the reason you've got the pleasure of my company for the next half an hour or so, maybe 40 minutes, is because you've agreed to be a volunteering journey maker. And that's a great thing to do. So thank you very much indeed. Now, I'm going to do what I try to do every day, which is share my screen, and I'm yet to get the technique. So hoping that by the time you see this, it will have been edited appropriately and it will look completely seamless. So I'm hoping you can see that. And the idea of today, of this session, is to help you to understand a few things about being a journey maker, some of which you will absolutely need to know, and some of which we've added in to make the whole process a little bit more interesting for you. So this is our learning objective for this session. By the end of this next 40 minutes or so, you should understand the aims of the Journey Maker program, the Journey Maker volunteer role, the possible risks and how to avoid them, what to do should there be an emergency, what to do if you have any concerns about individuals that might relate to safeguarding, the support that's available to you, and some tips and hints about looking after yourself when you're dealing with people, some of whom might feel quite anxious and stressed. So those are our objectives, and we'll look again at those at the end of the session. So the aims of the Journey Maker program are to support transport providers, by which I mean rail companies, bus companies, metro companies, to enable their passengers to travel safely whilst we are experiencing COVID-19 restrictions. We're there to reduce the anxiety for those who might be returning to public transport after quite a while of being in lockdown and might be feeling very anxious about where to go, how to behave, whether people are going to be observing distancing and face coverings and what have you, and also to support the staff in the transport hubs to ensure that COVID-19 guidance is followed by passengers as well as members of the public who might be passing by. And we're also there to show the value of volunteering. Social action volunteering has a massive impact on local communities, and to be part of that is a really important element of the community's return to safe practice, safe travel in whatever form they choose to use. So the Journey Maker role, it's based in principle on the Olympic Games Maker role. The volunteer Journey Maker is there to be a friendly face for passengers using public transport. You're there to guide passengers who might be unfamiliar with the changed layouts of the stations or bus stations or transport hubs that they were used to using. In some cases, there have been significant changes to the traffic through a station or a transport hub, which might be unfamiliar to people. And we're dealing with people who are probably going to be arriving just as they need to. Very few people arrive for a journey early. So they're going to be arriving as they need to, and in some cases, right on the line. So they're going to need that friendly reminder to observe the rules, to observe the layout, to follow any one-way systems that might be in place, and of course, to observe the COVID-19 guidance for social distancing and the use of face coverings. And we want to stress very clearly, we're talking about face coverings. People will call them masks, of course, but masks have a very sort of different feeling to them, a more clinical feel to them. And the requirement is to have a face covering. So literally anything that covers the face, a scarf, a handkerchief, a bandana, or any of the proprietary face masks that are in use are suitable. We're also there to just observe and pick up any issues that might occur around safety or safeguarding, and I'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a moment. And your responsibility as it is for any individual on a transport hub location is to respond appropriately if there's an emergency. So for example, if the station needs to be evacuated, or if there's an incident where someone gets injured or is taken ill, then you need to be able to take the appropriate emergency action. And usually that's specific to the site. There are some general pointers, but usually that's specific to the site. So hopefully that gives you a sense of the role. The most important points to remember there are to be the friendly face, the meet and greet, and to help people who might be feeling anxious about travelling, just to remind them of the rules that they need to be following. I'm going to talk a lot about safety and health and safety. And the basic rules around health and safety is they are everybody's responsibility. So just an illustration here on this picture, which shows that somebody hasn't quite understood the rules around the first person responsibility. The first person responsible for health and safety is you. So we'll give you all the guidance, we'll provide you with all the equipment, but the bottom line is you have to behave safely. And again, we'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a moment. We will provide you, or someone, the provider of the volunteering contract, will provide you with the risk management information. So it's a requirement that all of our partner agencies deliver a risk assessment for each site that's being used. And as a volunteer, you will see that risk management document, and that will tell you what we perceive the risks to be, what control measures we have put in place to mitigate those risks, and then the resulting, what they call latent risk, which is we've done as much as we can't make it perfect, so these are the things you need to be aware of. So there will be documentation provided to you so that you understand exactly what risk management has been put in place. The procedures for following those risk management requirements will be clearly laid out for you. So, for example, if or the best example is PPE, personal protective equipment. Procedure is that everybody has to wear a face covering whilst volunteering, and therefore you will be given that appropriate equipment and asked to do that. So relatively simple procedures to follow that will help us to meet our health and safety requirements. You will be given a list of do's and don'ts that you're enabled and allowed to do as a volunteer. On train stations, we will only be working on what's called the non-paid side. So if you're working on a train station, if you're volunteering on a train station, you won't be on the paid side. You won't go through the barrier to be a volunteer, because that remains the realm of the staff and the various health and safety requirements of that. So our role is front of house, if you like, to be there when people are arriving, and for some as they leave the station. We will provide you with all the personal and protective equipment that you need, and that will include a very fetching high-vis vest, which is fully logoed with volunteer and volunteering matters and the Journey Makers logo. We'll provide you with the necessary face coverings. You're welcome to bring your own as well, and there will be specific personal equipment provided according to which site you're working at. Again, the risk management process helps us to define exactly what is needed for each individual. From a personal point of view, you will need to dress sensibly, obviously. You're going to be on your feet for a few hours at a time, so you need to be comfortable. You need to take account of the weather and the conditions around the sites where you're going to be volunteering. So common sense prevails when it comes to your dress code, which is down to your personal comfort and appropriate to the role that you're being asked to do. In any sort of situation of safety, this question will be your go-to mindset. Something happens, what is the safest thing to do here? If there's an incident, what is the safest thing to do? Is it to move away? Is it to support the staff? Is it to guide the public? Is it to stay still and wait until you're told what to do? What is the safest thing to do here? And that's a question to ask. Should there be any kind of confrontation, any incident, any health issue, for you to take due consideration of your safety and the safety of those around you. So this slide is about safeguarding. Now, this can be quite intimidating for some people because it sort of hints at authority around safeguarding for children or vulnerable adults or people with particular needs. But the bottom line is that safeguarding is everyone's responsibility, and Volunteering Matters and all our partner agencies take safeguarding very, very seriously. So the rule to follow here, and the hint to keep in mind, is if you see something, say something. That's the bottom line. That's a guidance that's been in place throughout the COVID period. If you're worried about somebody, if you're concerned about something that you see, if you're unsure about whether or not it feels okay, then you need to say something. And that's saying something means reporting it to your volunteering coordinator or to station staff appropriately. We're not there to intervene. We're not there to investigate. We're not there to solve the problems that we might perceive. Your role as a volunteer is to keep your eyes and ears open. And if you see something, say something, either to your coordinator or to your station staff representative. And then you need to record any concerns that are reported. Now, that may be your responsibility. It may be the responsibility of a staff member. That's locally decided. And the important part of this is to maintain appropriate levels of confidentiality. Now, safeguarding often overrules confidentiality when it comes to reporting information. But what we mean here is make sure if you have to make a phone call that you do so discreetly, or if you have to have a conversation with somebody that you do so discreetly, and it's not something to be shared with people who don't need to know or passers-by who might happen to listen in. So it's just a consideration of the need to maintain your confidentiality when you're dealing with anything that might be to do with a person's well-being, health issues, safeguarding matters, and so on. There are very specific procedures that need to be followed in the event of an incident that might be referred to as suspicious or hot. These are phrases and terms that our colleagues in the transport sector use all of the time, and they will be able to guide you on site-specific procedures. So, for example, if there's a bag that's been left behind, or if there's a box that's delivered that nobody knows where it's come from, or somebody is acting in a way that is seen to be suspicious, there are specific procedures for each site that need to be followed. The general suspicious behaviour responses are shown in a training video, which is run by an organisation called Highfield Learning, and I've shown you the link there, and your coordinators should remind you that you need to watch those videos so that you get a sense of how to be vigilant, what to do in the event of an incident, and how to respond should other people be in charge at the time. The bottom tip here is always seek support from staff on site. Of course, they will be trained on a regular basis and they will know exactly how to respond should there be an incident or a suspicious package or behaviour. But we are required by all of the transport providers to ask you to view that training video so that you have the same level of awareness as some of the staff on site, and will understand when you hear things like hot or ACT or suspicious package and things like that. Now, that's not something to be overly concerned about, but everybody knows that transport hubs can be a target for terrorism, and therefore we need to be aware of what to do in the very, very rare incident of something happening, even if it's a false alarm, which I'm told is, again, very, very uncommon, although, as we all know, those kind of things hit the newspapers and the internet very, very often, and we only ever hear about the things that that create news. But in terms of likelihood, very, very low, and therefore, from a risk management point of view, also a very, very low risk. But we have to make sure that you know what the guidance is around all of that. So that's emergency procedures. You will be given a site-specific induction training period as well, according to the requirements of the transport providers. So that will include even more information about what to do in the event of an emergency. Okay, so at each volunteering location, there will be a site contact. So there'll be a member of staff from the transport provider who will have responsibility for making sure you are where you need to be, that you've got the right equipment, and that you are performing your role as a volunteer appropriately. So they will be the go-to person on site should you need them. You will also have either a local volunteering manager or volunteer coordinator whose contact details you will also be given. And again, they're the go-to people if you've got any questions. If, for example, you're not feeling well and you can't attend for your shift, or something else gets in the way, or there's a problem during your shift that you need to, that's not urgent, but you need to report upwards, and there you will have your details for your volunteer manager or coordinator. Top tip there, put those numbers into your phone. You will have your phone with you, obviously, on site. In some cases, you're being provided with additional communication equipment. In some of the smaller stations where staff numbers are relatively low, you're being given what I can only describe as walkie-talkies, intercom radios that you can contact somebody in the event of an emergency, which is an even faster response. So again, site-specific information will be given to you at each location. Your well-being is absolutely crucial. You need to understand that although this is an enjoyable role, and I've actually done some of this myself, so I do understand exactly what the role entails, and it's a great thing to do. It's a very friendly thing to do. It's enjoyable. You meet new people, but there are stresses involved. So we just want to give you a bit of a heads up, as it were, on managing stress, and take account of the fact that stress is cumulative. So you might have things going on in your life which are causing you some stress. Most of us have experienced lots of difficulties around the lockdown period, and we might know somebody who's been poorly, or we might know somebody who's passed away as a result of this, and it adds to the levels of anxiety. And so you need to sort of take account that you're also already carrying some stresses, and you're bringing that into your role. It's the case whether you've got a paid role or a volunteering role, of course, and acknowledging that and being aware of that is a really positive position to start with. So if there's something bothering you, if there's something worrying you, it's okay, but to be aware of it is necessary. And that recognizes that if there's an incident, or if there's a confrontation, or somebody presents themselves to you in a difficult way, you're probably going to react in a different way than you would on a day when you're feeling better and you're not feeling quite so stressed. So preparation is the key here. Think about the things that might be bothering you. It might be that, you know, as I say, you might know somebody who's poorly. You might have had a particularly difficult journey getting into the site location, and that winds everybody up. You might be worried about wearing your face covering. I know it's not a comfortable thing to do, but all of those things add up to stressors. So again, be aware, have a think about that. Take a moment just to kind of prepare yourself for the role, so that when you go front of house and you've got your PPE on, you're in a good place and you're in a good mindset to put a smile on your face and be a happy meet and greet for those people who have probably got just as many or possibly even more stresses to worry about. So have those coping strategies ready. Be prepared to walk away. Be prepared to call for support. Be prepared to talk to your other volunteers around you and let them know if you're not feeling good, and then you'll be able to reach out for the support that you might need, as well as the support that you're giving to others. It's not a one-way street. It's not all about giving. Volunteering is about being part of a community of other people with similar interests and needs, and they will be looking out for you just as much as you'll be looking out for them. So one of the biggest stresses that we have to deal with in any kind of volunteering environment is dealing with people. A lot of people will be coming into those stations with all of those stresses that I've mentioned, and they will be possibly late for a journey. They may not have realized that they needed to remember to bring their face covering with them. They might get frustrated because they have to wait in a longer queue. There's all kinds of reasons why you might be dealing with a few what can only be referred to as angry birds. So the idea here is always to stay on a positive mindset. Smile. Even though you've got a mask on, you can tell that you're smiling. When your face is covered, your eyes smile. So be positive and be happy. Tread carefully, be inoffensive, take account of people's differences, and don't add to their stresses or share your own as a way of trying to help them to be less stressed. Remember your do's and don'ts. You'll be given a clear list of things to do and things not to do. And again, always look for support should you need it. People can be difficult, but if they're listened to and if they're smiled at and if they're understood, then those difficulties can often be diminished very significantly in short shrift. I'm not being trivial about it because there may be some difficulties. And again, that's where you would call for support. You're not there to deal with confrontation. You're not there to deal with conflict. You're not even there to police the use of face coverings and distancing. That's other people's responsibility. You're there just to be a friendly reminder. So again, plan and prepare. Think about how you might want to be greeted at a place like this. And if you were the one coming up to the station with a heavy bag in your hand, going back to work for the first time or for a while, or being stressed out about deadlines, think about what might be good for you to see in front of you from a journey maker who's there to help. And that gives you a good way of seeing the world through the eyes of the people that are approaching you. Your interactions with those individuals will be almost microscopically brief in some cases. They will pass you by and you may never see them again. You may see the same people in at different times of the day or on the same time of the day if you do more shifts. So you might then build some relationships. But that initial smile, that initial friendly greeting is by far the most successful way of de-escalating any confrontation that might occur and helping people to understand that you're there to help and not to add to their stresses. So, in summary, remember, you're a volunteer, and they are absolutely brilliant things to be. Volunteering makes a huge difference, and you're already starting to make an impact on your community by being a Journey Maker volunteer. But the responsibility lies with the staff in the station. So if in any doubt, go there, go to your coordinator, go to your staff contact, and don't try to take too much of the burden of responsibility on yourself. Be kind to yourself, look after yourself. If you need a break, take a break. If you're not comfortable about where you are, tell somebody. If you're feeling a little unwell, share it with somebody. Don't leave it. Don't think, oh, I'm all right. I'll be fine. I'll get through it. Let somebody know that you're not in the best of health, or if you're not feeling safe or whatever, then let people know. Be kind to yourself first, and that helps you to be kind to other people. Smile, as I said earlier, even under a mask, it shows. You can tell that somebody's smiling by the tone of their voice, by the way their eyes shape, and the shape of their face. So even with face coverings, it's important. And when you smile, there is a saying, isn't there, that when you smile, the world smiles with you. And it does help to be friendly and help other people to feel good about themselves. Remember your do's and don'ts, plan and prepare, and above all, enjoy yourself. It's a really positive thing to do. All of the necessary information that I've given you in the last few minutes is absolutely essential to helping you to enjoy yourself. And we take your safety seriously, we take your safeguarding seriously, we take your well-being seriously. But we want you to have a nice time. We want this to be a positive experience because it's making a difference to people who are feeling anxious about getting back to their daily lives. And this is a really positive thing to do. Volunteering is often considered to be something that's about giving. It's often seen as an altruistic task where you give time or you give skills or you give experience to other people, but you get a lot back as well. We know that, we've studied it, we understand it. Volunteering is a two-way activity. So I hope you enjoy yourself. I thank you very much indeed for agreeing to be part of this national program, and I hope you enjoy yourself and are inspired to go on to do more volunteering in the future as well. Thank you for very much for your time, and I hope you are able to volunteer successfully with a nice big smile on your face. Thank you.
Thank you, Journey Maker. We really appreciate your contribution to making our community safer. Please remember to watch the ACT e-training video at https://ct.highfieldelearning.com. Once you've done that, please send us an email at jm for Journey Maker @volunteeringmatters.org.uk. So to just take you through quickly as to how to navigate through that site, you'll go to ct.highfieldelearning.com, and that is what the website looks like. You'll start a new training session, click on that, and then as an individual, click on that, and that will give you three options. Well, not three options, three fields that you have to fill in. The first one is that your charities organization, specific region is the West Midlands, and your job, in that case, I've just chosen other. There's a recapture little exercise you have to do just to show that you're not a machine or a robot, and start new training session. There's a quick terms and conditions that has to be completed. Well, it's just standard. Agree to that, and that will take you into the website to start your training.